So 2 weeks ago, I brought out the iPhone 16 Pro Max to shoot my experience with a couple of friends, going out and having fun. And honestly, taking out my camera was going to be overkill, and I felt that the iPhone's video camera is just that good. But before that, I had not used this phone in 5 months, at least not really. So since that time I have used this phone, there have been 8 software updates targeted at improving a lot of things, including Apple Intelligence. And here's the catch. After that little get together 2 weeks ago, I haven't really stopped using it. I have been using this phone again for another 2 weeks, going through the updates, testing everything that I liked and everything that I really didn't like. And to answer the question, has anything really changed? Let's find out. Now, before I dive into this, I want to tell you guys why I feel confident using the iPhone 16 Pro Max for my professional shooting, which is something I wouldn't really do with any other smartphone. Now, it has to do with how well Apple blends hardware capabilities and software processing. Now, the iPhone 16 Pro Max has a 48 megapixel wide sensor with a large 1.128 sensor, which captures sufficient light and a lot of detail, and then produces excellent dynamic range and low light performance. It uses sensor shift optical image stabilization instead of the traditional optical image stabilization on most other smartphones. And sensor shift optical image stabilization has the advantage of being faster at correcting irregular movements that affect your camera's positioning. Now, it makes the 16 Pro Max a more reliable go-to device if you don't really have a gimbal. It offers extensive frame rate options across various resolutions. It can record 4K at up to 120 frames per second and 1080p at up to 240 frames per second. It has a feature called Apple ProRes Log, which is what I record on primarily. Now, as a professional, shooting in log video gives me more control of the final look of the footage because of the flexibility it has, or it allows me when it comes to color grading and post-production adjustments. And log video is still a scarce feature in the smartphone industry. Ultimately, the iPhone 16 Pro Max's video shooting capability stands out by offering professional grade features while also ensuring simplicity for non-professionals. You don't have to be a videographer to record high-quality videos with this phone. And if you've even been a videographer in your time, it's even better because you will get better post-production results on this phone than any other smartphone. But while I feel confident using the 16 Pro Max to shoot videos because of its edge, I don't think that edge translates into its pictures. Now, the main camera still captures detailed images with excellent color reproduction and dynamic range. You get balanced highlights and shadows, minimal noise even in moderately low light, and natural skin tones that don't get oversaturated during processing. Although it does make me look darker than usual, but I'll give that a pass. It has face detection, autofocus, and traditional optical image stabilization, but what does it for me is that it lets in a lot of light, which then translates to how good the pictures look in low light conditions. Unlike the 5x telephoto lens, which struggles in low light conditions, it has a smaller aperture, and when it starts getting dark, whatever you capture loses detail and noise begins to creep in. But camera aside, there's more to this phone than just how it shoots videos and captures pictures. So let's talk about the durability of the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Apple has had durability in the bag for a while now, and over the last few years, Apple has slowly introduced features and upgraded materials aimed at making the iPhone an incredibly durable phone. And starting with the iPhone 12 a few years ago, they introduced the ceramic shield on the front glass, and now the ceramic shield is one of the best display protections in the smartphone industry, and other brands like OnePlus have started using ceramic shields to protect their displays. The iPhone 16 Pro Max uses the newest generation of ceramic shield, which according to Apple is 50% tougher than the one protecting the 15 Pro Max. Then with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, they replaced the stainless steel with an aerospace grade titanium, which is not only lighter but also stronger and more resistant to dents, scratches, and smudges. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is IP68 rated, which allows it to survive underwater for up to 30 minutes at the depths of 6 meters. And internally, Apple has reinforced its component layouts to better absorb shock and minimize hardware failures in its drops. Although these refinements make the iPhone 16 Pro Max one of the toughest and more resilient smartphones available today. While they've been doing this, Apple hasn't really compromised on its design. Yes, it looks exactly the same as a couple of years, but it's still a staple for Apple. Now, the 16 Pro Max has colors that can be described as premium and kind of dull in my opinion. They have 4 colors: black titanium, white titanium, natural titanium, and desert titanium. In my opinion, natural titanium is still the best one if you're trying to pick a phone. Black, it's just okay. Now, even with their names, it feels like they didn't really put a lot of effort into it, but at the end of the day, it still kind of works. They are muted, but I wouldn't call them dull like the S25 Ultra's main colors. So yeah, the colors kind of work for me. Now with that design, nothing has really changed. And you still get the big dynamic island on front, which houses the camera system for Apple's reliable Face ID, while also working as a UI wonder that displays alerts and activities. But I've been seeing news that Apple is working to make the dynamic island smaller in the future, which is understandable because every brand is constantly trying to get more screen real estate and all that good stuff. But it's also gotten to a point where you start to ask the question about why smartphone brands are so obsessed with screen to body ratios and lightness. And I guess it's totally fair, but you gotta still ask. And talking about that, this phone has a 91.4% screen to body ratio, which led to a bigger display from the 6.7 inches on the 15 Pro Max to the 6.9 inches on the 16 Pro Max. Now, apart from the display getting bigger and more immersive, there really isn't any significant change when compared to the 15 Pro Max's display. It still uses an LTPO Super Retina OLED screen with an always-on display, a 120Hz refresh rate, 2000 nits of peak brightness, and is still vivid and color accurate. The battery has one of the slightest increases in capacity you will ever see. We had a 4,441 milliamp hours on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and now we have a 4,685 milliamp hours of battery on the 16 Pro Max. I don't really have a problem with the battery life. It is still a phone you can charge fully and feel confident about using it throughout the day. But it's just the charging. Apple, Samsung, Google need to do better in this regard. It is inexcusable at this point. That being said, the performance of this phone is top tier. The combination of the A18 Pro chipset and the improved cooling system makes it not only great at performing various kind of tasks, but it also is great for sustaining them. Now, the first 3 months after this phone came out, I said it handles heat much better than the 15 Pro Max, and that is still true. The added graphite and aluminum layers inside the phone, which grabs heat from the chip and spreads it all across the phone. It's well known how great and reliable the Bionic chips have been over the last few years, and the A18 Pro lives up to the hype itself. It only has 8 gigs of RAM, but that doesn't really affect its performance in any way because it manages memory efficiently. It has 256 gigs of base storage and up to 1 terabyte of storage options if you want to upgrade. Lastly, there is Apple Intelligence, which is hard to talk about because honestly, there is nothing really intelligent to talk about yet. It's one of those things I and many other people are looking forward to when they talk about WWDC sometime in the next coming weeks. And it's not great because companies like Google are moving far ahead than what Apple is really doing. And with that being said, it's not really good right now because Google is far ahead. However, I expect Apple Intelligence to make a little comeback in iOS 19 and at least get closer to Samsung and Google's level. So the month is May and the new iPhones come out in September. If you're thinking of getting this phone now, I beg you, do not do it yet. See what is on the iPhone 17 Pro or the Pro Max and see if there's really a difference between that phone and this phone. And while this phone has an improved performance, a slightly bigger battery, and a camera control button, those are not really options that are sufficient enough for me to recommend this phone. So I say, save your money, see what is on the iPhone 17 or the 17 Pro or the 17 Pro Max, and then we can make a decision. In this economy, giving consideration to value has become so much important. And while the 16 Pro Max is an excellent phone, so is the 15 Pro Max or, whatever comes in the future. What do you guys think of the 16 Pro Max? Would you buy it? Would you not buy it? Comment down below and let me know. And as always, thank you guys for watching this video. We are so close to 30,000 subs. I think at this time of, recording this video, we are about 400 subscribers left. So I really appreciate you guys. And with all that being said, my name is KJ and I'll see you guys in the next one.